Welcome to Remove Before Flight, where we help prepare veterans to start, grow, or scale a business. In this episode, we are going to talk with Alex Schlinsky, a serial entrepreneur and founder of Prospecting on Demand. Like always, we will leave you with a great marketing tip. I'm your host, Kevin Fairbanks. Thank you for being a part of our show. Now sit back and get ready to learn how to be a success. We are happy to be a part of the Change Your POV network. Having listened to Benton and Eddie for a while, it has been a great honor to be invited to be a part of their family. Please show them some love and help continue the great programming the Change Your POV network offers by making a donation today. Visit changeyourpov.com, where you'll find valuable information about supporting the network through Patreon. All right, we're back. Another episode of Remove Before Flight. Before we get started, let me introduce you to our guest today, Alex Schlinsky, by reading you his official bio. Alex Schlinsky is a serial entrepreneur, a former sports journalist turned internet marketing sensation. His background is in marketing and psychology. Alex graduated from the University of Central Florida in 2014 and began the pursuit of his entrepreneurial dreams. Alex is the founder of Sky Social Media, a digital marketing agency in Tampa, Florida, as well as the founder of Prospecting on Demand, an online entrepreneurial mastermind and training course that helps kickstart entrepreneurs of all levels to understand the technique and tactics behind lead generation, business development, goal setting, productivity, and so much more. Now, without further ado, let's welcome Alex and have him give us his 10-foot overview in his own words.
Hey, Kevin, thanks a lot for having me on here. First of all, guys, it's an honor to be a part of this Remove Before Flight podcast. Thanks to everyone who is listening today. This is Alex Schlinsky. I am a serial entrepreneur and marketer who lives here in Tampa, Florida. I run my own online marketing company called Sky Social Media. I also run an online mastermind for entrepreneurs and marketers called Prospecting on Demand, which is my current real big passion. I'm very, very passionate about marketing, very passionate about entrepreneurship. That's why I'm here today to talk about that. I appreciate the time and I'm excited to get this underway.
Perfect. Thank you, Alex. Can you tell us a little bit about what ignited the spark in you to start a new business venture?
Yeah, absolutely. I get this question asked to me quite a lot, and I have a couple answers, but I think the real one begins with my upbringing. My mother and my father are both entrepreneurs. My mother before my father. When I was growing up, my mom ran her own boutique art studio in Aventura, Florida, and essentially what she was doing during that time was teaching young grade school kids anywhere from 4 to 12 years old, art techniques, painting, watercolor. She had her own studio in Aventura, Florida, a very competitive market for about 10 years, almost a decade. She did that after leaving Jessica McClintock, which was a huge company at the time, to pursue her own entrepreneurial dreams. And when she told me about that process, that really ignited a fire in me to kind of push forward with my own dreams, my own goals, and kind of set out to a place that I wanted to achieve my own specific goals myself, to start my own business and really see if I can get it going. On my father's case, it's very similar. He worked as a funeral director for 25 years before opting to leave that business for his own goals, his own dreams. He ended up creating his own financial planning business. Over a decade later, he's very happy he made that decision. And his only one regret is that he didn't do it anytime sooner. So when I left college, I knew that the first thing I was going to do was dive into the entrepreneurial spirit, take this journey, take the leap of faith, and give it everything that I can to make sure I'm going to achieve my goals for myself, for my wife, for my family. Here I am a couple years later, and I'm very, very happy to say that I can be deemed as a successful entrepreneur in quotations. Obviously, success is determined by a lot of different things. It's not just about monetary value. It's more about your happiness with your life at your current state, being grateful for what you have. And I'm beyond grateful, beyond happy where I'm at right now. And I can definitely attribute that all to my parents and allowing me to take this entrepreneurial journey on.
Absolutely. I noticed one common theme across your message was goals. How
Absolutely.
important is goal planning to any business, whether you're in a startup phase, you're looking to grow or scale?
Yeah, goals is really everything, to be quite honest. I like to use this metaphor. You don't start a race without knowing where the finish line is. Usain Bolt, the greatest runner of all time, does not start a race without knowing that there's going to be a finish line. Is he running the 100 meter, the 200, the 400? He needs to know that before he gets started. Otherwise, there's no way he can ever finish. A goal is so important for your long-term success, whether it's daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals. It is absolutely critical. Now, I'm going to be honest with you all right now. I am not a very organized person. That has been one of my big struggles growing through high school, college, current day today. But thankfully, my wife is exceptional with both goal setting and organization. And she really has been a huge factor in my life to allow me to understand the importance of goal setting. As an entrepreneur, you can go one day and do a whole lot of busy work. In quotations, I use busy work, call a couple clients, try to, follow up with leads, do fulfillment work, whatever you are doing that day. But at the end of the day, you don't feel fulfilled. You don't feel like you've accomplished anything, even though you mark some things off a to-do list. The main reason why you feel that way is likely coming down to because you did not set a goal to achieve. Even a goal as small as I'm going to call 20 people today. When you can mark that off and say, I achieved that goal, you can feel better both psychologically and physically knowing that you've accomplished something. That's just a small piece of the goal. But you need to have big goals too. I like to have daily and monthly goals. A lot of people try weekly goals. That's not how I operate. I like daily and monthly goals. For me, monthly goals really allow me to kind of take a 100,000 foot view of what I accomplished in the last 30, 31 days. It allows me to dictate to myself, what did I accomplish and why did I accomplish these things? Or what did I not accomplish and why did I not accomplish them, so that I can move forward and be successful in the following month? That's really what I do consistently to make sure that I'm going to be happy with where I'm at and achieve the things that I need to achieve to be successful in my own right. That's what I am all about. And if you guys are not currently utilizing goals, I implore you so much, please utilize goals when you can. Not on this podcast. When you're done with this, go check out SMART Goals, SMART. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but please go check out SMART Goals. Make sure that you put together, weekly, daily, weekly, or monthly goals so that you can set something, a finish line that you can then achieve.
Absolutely. I have to agree 100% with you. Those days when you have that empty feeling like you haven't accomplished anything, but you were busy all day, all come down to whether or not you had set yourself up for success or failure for the day.
Absolutely.
I know personally I struggle at making that daily goal, but the days I do, I feel so much more accomplished and achieved at the end of the day.
Absolutely.
So I need to make it part of my routine to get back into doing daily goals and not just weekly and monthly goals.
And again, one thing to note about goals here, I think this is very important. When people think of goals, they think of these lofty expectations and they're worried that they're never going to achieve them. You can start small. Your goal could literally be just go to the gym today. It could not even be related to your business at all. But if you achieve even the smallest goal that you set out to do, whether it's I'm going to eat breakfast before 11 a.m., right? That's going to be even just that goal.
Absolutely.
Even if you achieve one of those things, the mental capacity, the mental hurdle that you just overcame is massive. It is absolutely massive. And as an entrepreneur, without anyone dictating what you need to do every day, it's critical that you have self-discipline. And obviously everyone here knows all about self-discipline, right? So don't allow yourself to feel bad about yourself at the end of the day because you didn't accomplish anything. All you need to do to overcome that mental hurdle is simply set a goal. It could be so small. It does not have to be some lofty expectation. It can be so small, and I promise you will feel better and more achieved than you ever have before if you do so.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Alex, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Prospecting on Demand?
Sure, absolutely. So Prospecting on Demand is an online mastermind and training course. Prospecting on Demand was my brainchild about 6 months ago. At that time, I was speaking with a lot of entrepreneurs, many in the marketing industry, several other financial planners, friends of mine that were kind kind of trying to decide whether or not they wanted to move into the corporate world or whether or not they wanted to move into the entrepreneurial space and kind of achieve their own specific dreams. And at that time, I was recognizing that I had a lot of experience because of the 3+ years after college that I spent trying to achieve my entrepreneurial dreams. Now, at the time, I was reading tons and tons of books to try to increase my knowledge on how to help people that are in this entrepreneurial space. And after getting a lot of feedback from these people mentioning, hey, you really got your pulse on this industry, you really understand what it takes to be successful, I considered maybe I should make a mastermind to help a group of people at once, because that's something I'm very, very passionate about. One of the greatest things in my life is how passionate I am about other people's success. One of the most endearing qualities and things that I love to do more than anything in this whole world is see someone else smile. It's a very powerful emotion. When someone smiles at you walking down the street, you automatically smile back, right? That is a psychological aspect of your brain that automatically that's going to happen. When someone comes to me and says to me, Alex, I utilized your methodologies to increase my revenue 10 times, or I started setting goals, or I feel better about myself, or I was able to take my daughter to Disney because of you. That's an incredible feeling, and it's not about the ego side of it. Now, look, of course, is there some ego towards it? Of course. Look, it feels good to help people, but the real aspect of it is I can go sit down and say, wow, I really made a difference in that person's life. That is inspiring. That inspires me to get to the next level. Now, in terms of what we do at Prospecting on Demand, essentially it's twofold. One side of Prospecting on Demand is the course material. Now, the course material really helps you grow your business, whatever type of business it is, whether it's online or brick and mortar, to generate qualified leads daily through a proven system of lead generation tactics. Now, those methods include LinkedIn, certain types of funnels for webinars or high ticket funnels, a direct mail formula, which is very, very powerful B2B technique. We also talk about Facebook ads a bit to try to help you if you're going to utilize Facebook ads. We know that there might be a mental hurdle for a lot of you running an online business. You're concerned about Facebook ads. That's okay. We can help you there. We also talk about sales. Obviously, you cannot start generating so many leads without understanding what it takes to close them into clientele. And then, of course, lead nurture templates, which is once you start generating those leads, you need to make sure that you're nurturing them with more and more content, more and more value to the point that they are interested in working with you. And this goes across all borders. It can be literally any business, any niche, any style. These things are critical to your long-term success. A lot of the people that I speak to, regardless of what business model they're in, are very concerned because they don't have an effective method to generate more leads for their business. Whether they own a restaurant, whether they own a boutique, jewelry shop, whether they're an online marketer, you cannot only rely on referrals, on word of mouth. You need to have a steady stream of leads so that you have a steady stream of income and you can grow your business. And that's what I really wanted to focus in on Prospecting on Demand. Now, how did I get to that phase? When I started my own marketing agency, I spent approximately $5,000 on courses from some of the top names in the industry in marketing. And now, look, I'm not here at all to bash any of those courses. I really enjoyed them. I learned a ton from them, both on the entrepreneurial side as well as the marketing side. But there was one key facet missing across all of them, and that was the actual prospecting. Pretty much every single one anticipated that you already had leads, you already had clientele. So I knew how to market, but I didn't even know how to market myself. I didn't know how to generate my own leads. So I spent all of my time, all of my efforts on every lead generation tactic I could. I spent all my time looking up every single option: Facebook ads, LinkedIn, Google ads, canvassing, cold calling, content marketing. I did everything under the sun to try to weed out what is effective, both my time and revenue-wise, and what is not effective that I can just skip and move on. Guys, one thing that is so important for you in life is don't worry about preconceived notions. Don't worry about what you believe may work. When I started this, I went in there with no preconceived notions. Now, obviously, I thought I had some biases. I thought, okay, LinkedIn will probably work and cold calls probably won't. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to put forth my best effort on both of them. When I went forward, I tried and put forth my best foot forward on both methods, on all the methods, and then I weeded out what didn't work. That's what we call optimizing. Who cares if I was wrong in the first place? What happens if it turned out that LinkedIn was not an effective method, but cold calling was the most effective? Would I have kept my bias and said, no, LinkedIn has to be the one? Absolutely not. It doesn't matter what my preconceived notion was. It just matters what the numbers say and what we actually got in terms of delivery. Were we actually successful with this method or not? You have a specific test, amount of time that you test it, and then you just go through and see the numbers, what's effective and what's not. That's how I weeded out the process to make those course trainings for prospecting on demand. And that is how I created my agency from $0 all the way to a six-figure agency successfully every single month, and being a successful business owner. Out of nowhere, really. From nothing to less than 6 months later, I was at, over a six-figure business. And that was just because of the methods we were utilizing to really generate leads properly. Then I thought that I could, position that into a course so that I can use my favorite skill set, which is speaking to people and helping people and teaching people. And then that's the one aspect of prospecting on demand that we're talking about here, which is just the information product, the trainings. The second aspect is really my biggest passion probably in the entire world, which is the actual mastermind. Now, in Prospecting on Demand, we have a private Facebook group where we share our best tactics, share our wins, share our losses, allowed to be vulnerable there, and help each other. The point of Prospecting on Demand is to help each other grow. These entrepreneurs that are in here have been carefully selected and handpicked to make sure that they care just as much as I do, just as much as the next person does, just as much as Kevin does, because we want to make sure that the dynamic is not just take, but give and take. That's very important for me in the long term of this business. Now, you might understand this metaphor, so I'm going to bring this to you, and I think this is very powerful. I hope this resonates with you. In business today, and especially in entrepreneurship, there's a huge idea of competitiveness. There's competition across borders, not just in business. It's just a general aspect of human life where everyone thinks competition really breeds the best out of people, and that's true. Some of the cream will rise to the top, but some of the great people that would work better cooperatively kind of get shafted, right? They get shafted by competition because that's not where they want to go. Now, what's the metaphor I'm going to use here? Let's talk about the ladder to success, okay? The ladder to success. This is the notion that in order to achieve success, which again, as I said earlier, success is not determined by the money in your pocket, it's determined by what you believe is success, right? So just remember that. But back to this metaphor of the ladder to success. In order to achieve that revenue goal or in order to achieve your success, you have to literally climb up that ladder, throw off the people ahead of you, step on their toes, step on their heads in order to get to the next rung, right? That's the competition model. That is not how Prospecting on Demand works. That is not how I work. Instead, I like to utilize it as thinking about climbing a mountain. There's plenty of room for all of us to climb that mountain. But guess what? The person that's 2 feet ahead of you and says, hey, go left instead of going right. If you go left, you're going to come up. If you go right, you're going to fall down a couple spots. What are you going to listen to? Are you going to listen to the person that's ahead of you? Absolutely. That's the give and take. Now, what happens if you go up 2 rungs above the person that you just helped? Guess what? Now you help them. That's the idea behind Prospecting on Demand, the give and take. So we have this weekly mastermind. We have a private Facebook group and this weekly mastermind call. So every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we all get on there. We all talk about, our goals. As we talked about, goals was one of the first things we spoke about here. Very, very important. We kind of hold each other accountable, see what progress you're making, talking about our latest techniques that we're utilizing, what's working, what's not, and having a good time. At the end of the day, in the entrepreneurial spirit, you're supposed to have a good time. This is supposed to be fun. I'm not saying it's supposed to be easy, but it is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to enjoy yourself. You're not supposed to be pulling your hair out and frustrated with what you're doing. The real key behind Prospecting on Demand is the community aspect with people that really care and want to help each other. And that's really what Prospecting on Demand is all about in that quick summation.
Absolutely. Having gone through your program, that community, you often refer to it as the POD family, and it truly is a family. Everybody's in there to help one another and grow. Your training is offered at a simplified level that is available to everybody. So whether you're an expert in something or just starting out, the video tutorials that you have on there, the explanations just walk everybody right through step by step what they need to do. So, and you offer various methods. I mean, I don't want to give away everything that's in your course, but you offer something that fits for every industry and every type of business.
Absolutely.
So LinkedIn might not be best for a restaurant. Well, there's other opportunities on there for you.
Exactly.
And you have those methods in there.
Exactly.
So in that family is just a big support network. Everybody's in there. Don't be afraid to ask a question because, 10 other people are probably thinking the same question or have been there.
Exactly. And it's so important to me to have that aspect as part of prospecting on demand. Sure, the coursework is impressive and it can help you and it's powerful, but the community aspect is 100 times that. That's really the key to prospecting on demand, where we make sure that the people are coming in that care, that can help people. You have your own specific set of skills that someone may not have, but you can supplement those people. You can help them by providing some of that skills. And then where you lack in your skills, that person you just helped can potentially help you. That is a key. That is an absolute key. Something that I find that really resonates with me is understanding your strengths and weaknesses. Too many people focus on trying to really, really better their weaknesses rather than just amplifying their strengths. That's what POD is all about. Don't focus on your weaknesses. If you're weak at something, get the help you need, get it handled for you, and get out of there. If you have a good strength, if you have a great skill set in a specific thing, maybe you're a great salesperson, multiply that. Triple down on that. Focus on that heavily. Become the best salesperson you could possibly be. Don't focus on your weaknesses. That is what POD is for. If you're struggling with something, we're going to help you with that. If you are being successful, then we're going to get you back and get the people that you need to help you with that weakness. That's what POD is all about, and we truly are a family. And that's really what I care about probably more than anything in my business at this point.
Absolutely. Now, you touched on LinkedIn quite a bit, and I know I have a pet peeve about LinkedIn, and I think you share the same pet peeve, is too many business owners use it as a resume and don't use it to promote their business. You want to touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely, yeah. So I hope this is going to be a paradigm shift for you guys. This is important. Now, if you're going on LinkedIn and you're, as an entrepreneur first, okay, first of all, if you're trying to go into the corporate world, sure, you can have a resume. That's fine. But if you're an entrepreneur, what does a resume mean to you? Think about it this way. If you're an entrepreneur and trying to sell someone on something, or you're trying to get a new job in some other entrepreneurial space, do they really care about where you went to school? Do they really care about those accolades? The answer is likely no. They care about what your skill set is right now, especially so if they're looking at your profile. If someone comes to your profile, don't bog them down with information from the past. We live in the now and moving forward. Right now is all that we're guaranteed. The past does not mean anything. Does not mean anything at all. Guys, I graduated magna cum laude from University of Central Florida, top 5% of my class. Guess what that's done for me? Nothing. No one cares about that. No one asks me about it. I don't use it in my resume. It's not effective use. There's nothing for it. Why would that be needed to be put on my profile? If anything, I'd look like presumptuous, right? It would just look silly. What's the need? Instead, when you have a LinkedIn profile that's focusing on as a sales letter, selling your service, selling you, selling your product, it becomes so much more effective. Focus on the now. Don't focus on the past. If someone's looking at your profile, sell them on you, sell them on your service. Give them a call to action, a specific piece of copywriting that says, hey, look, if you want to speak to me, here's how you can get in touch with me. And this is only offered for my LinkedIn connections. So be sure to take up this offer. Don't bog them down with previous information that doesn't matter. Focus on what matters, which is right now, currently, what you can do to help them or help their business. That's the key. That is the paradigm shift you need to have for LinkedIn.
Absolutely. So you as an entrepreneur, I'm sure that you've made some mistakes along the way. What would you
Yes.
What would you say is your biggest mistake you've made?
Wow. Great question. I've made a lot of mistakes. I'll be honest with you. I think the biggest mistake I made was dwelling on my mistakes initially. So if I would have a sales call that didn't go my way, the rest of the day would be pretty negative for me. And we're talking about probably 2-3 years ago at this point, where I'd just get down on myself. I'd feel, unworthy of the position I'm at. I feel like I couldn't accomplish anything, even though I know full well, of course I can accomplish things. But sometimes your brain, you get this thing called cognitive dissonance where you're thinking one thing, but you feel a different way. I feel crappy, but I know I can do this. So I dwelled on my mistakes. The truth is we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to have errors. Not a single person on this earth is perfect. Not a single person on this earth is perfect. I said that twice for a reason. So remember that. The truth is when you make a mistake, it's not about the mistake at all. There's no failures as long as you're learning. I like this line a lot. It's win or learn. There's no failure. There's no mistake. The key is if you fumble, if you stumble, if you falter, if you make an error, if you dwell on that as being the capital punishment, you've just done something so terrible that you can't get yourself out of the rut, then you failed. Then you've made a real error. Then you've really made a mistake. But if you make a stumble, a fumble, a falter, you make an error, you make a mistake, and then you learn from that, that is going to help you better than anything. I think the biggest mistake I made was not figuring out that when you fall down 7 times, you need to get up 8. I don't think I realized that soon enough. So I'd punish myself mentally, making myself mentally weak, and not allowing myself to understand that failure is an option. It's in fact the most readily available option at all times. At all times, you can decide, I'm going to fail. It's much easier to fail than it is to succeed. And it's the easiest option in the entire planet. You say, I'm done. I can't do it anymore. Well, when you have that attitude, you truly have failed. You truly have failed. If you give something your all, if you put forth the biggest effort you can, if you try your best and still do not succeed, at the very least, you put forth everything that you can. Now you need to learn from it. Why did I not succeed? Take the time, rather than sulking on yourself, to focus on why did I not succeed on this? What did I do wrong? If that means you failed to close someone, get back in touch with that person and say, look, I'm not here to sell you again. I just want to know, what did I do wrong? What did I do wrong? Well, the price was wrong. Okay, then you didn't do the value proposition correctly. Okay, well, you were too abrasive. In the next call, you can be a little bit more kinder. Well, you keep interrupting me. On the next call, you're not going to interrupt. These are the things. Survey your market. Learn from your mistakes. Do not sulk on errors. Remember, failure, again, is the most readily available option at all times. But you refuse to fail. You refuse to fail when you say that I made a mistake, I'm going to learn from it and move forward, guys. When that many fish in the sea line is used for dating a lot, it can be the same in business. There is literally, 7 billion people on the planet. There is enough business to go around. Absolutely. I assure you of that. If you make a falter, if you make a stumble, do not allow yourself to be mentally weak. Do not allow yourself to sit there and stumble and falter and think about the error. Learn from that error. Take the time to learn from it, and you will be successful moving forward. I guarantee that. That was my biggest mistake, not learning it quick enough.
Absolutely. I've been there. I that's probably one of my biggest mistakes as well, is just, you got to learn from it. And too many people don't. They dwell in failure, and that's goes to hurt them.
Absolutely.
So what sacrifices would you say you've made to make yourself be a successful entrepreneur?
Wow. Great questions here. What sacrifices have I made? I would say the biggest sacrifice I made is time. And I'm going to get very real here. All right. And Kevin, you know me. This is how I am. This is my style, guys. I'm a bleeding heart. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I really sincerely care. I'm very, very passionate about what I do. But the truth is, this is the reality of the situation. I care more about my family than anything else in the whole world. That's my big why, okay? That is my big why. My wife, my parents, my closest knit friends, these are my family. Now, Prospecting on Demand, they truly are my family as well. I've created amazing relationships with these people, and I want to be able to help them. But I would say the biggest sacrifice I've had to make is my time. Now, guys, I'm going to get very real here again. Look, I'm 25 years old, so it's not a good thought to be morbid by any means. But the reality is, like I said already, we're only living in the exact presence and right now. And that's why it's called the present, right? It's a gift to be alive at this exact moment. The opportunity to be alive in the first place, It's astronomical. The slim percent chance that we're actually alive as human beings is so small that sometimes you really need to sit back and reflect on how lucky we are to be alive. No matter how bad your situation is right now, if you have a roof over your head, if you're eating, you are more privileged than more than half of the world. If you have a beating heart and the ability to see, and you could taste food and smell, and you could hear, you are incredibly empowered. If you can stand up and walk, you are empowered. When you look outside your window and you see someone on a wheelchair, do you not feel the perspective that's important to say, wow, I am not in that situation, but I can walk, I can breathe, I can talk. These things are important to remember. That perspective is key. So why am I talking about this perspective, guys? Because there's no guarantee for tomorrow. There's no guarantee for the next week or the next month or the next year. So when I'm trying to build my business and I'm struggling, I have perspective. I remember that the real thing I care about is the opportunity to sit down with my wife and have a great dinner and just enjoy the little things. Enjoy the steak that I'm eating. Enjoy the home-cooked meal that I have. Enjoy the kiss from my wife. Enjoy the hug from my mom and dad. People don't have that. People have lost their parents when they're kids. I haven't. That didn't happen to me. My father had a stroke when I was 15 years old. He survived. 10 years later, he's still alive. I could have just had 10 years of not having him. That perspective is critical to me. Now, the time that I've put into my business is astronomical. It's astronomical. It's more than I would put in had I worked a normal 9 to 5. Because as you guys know, as entrepreneurs, you got to make things work. When I started, I was doing journalism. I was writing almost 10 hours a day. I wrote 50,000 articles in 1 year. That's insane. That's insane. I was spending my Saturday nights watching UFC pay-per-views until 1 a.m. and then writing till 3 a.m. My wife was asleep at 11 p.m., but I wasn't there. I wasn't there with her. What happens if the next day I got into a car accident and passed away? What would I have cared about more, the article that I wrote or the wife that I left in bed that I wasn't there for? That's the biggest sacrifice you all will make, not just me. But it's worth it in the long run when you remember the perspective of what you're trying to accomplish. Stop thinking about just the monetary value of your bank. Stop thinking about counting other people's pockets and other people's treasures and what they've done well. Just focus on your perspective. Focus on what you have to be grateful for, because that's all we've got. That's all we've got, guys. And you could tell how passionate I am about this because I care. This is me. I sincerely care about this. It's very important to me that when people push forward in this life, in this entrepreneurial journey, that they don't lose sight of what really matters. What really matters is your happiness. What really matters is to be grateful for what you have, because none of it is guaranteed. Life is very unfair sometimes, and there's nothing we could do about it. But what we can do is be happy with the time that we have. So I would say, again, my biggest sacrifice is the amount of time that I've had to put into it, the amount of time that I've lost spending time with my family or my wife or being adventurous or doing things or testing myself. Now, that time has been utilized well, for sure. I've done a lot of amazing things in my job, and that's allowed me to create amazing things for my wife and I. But still, no matter what I do, the time that I've put in is never given back to me. Money can come and go. Time never does. Time never does. So I would say time is my biggest sacrifice.
Absolutely. You know, a lot of people become entrepreneurs because of family and that freedom to be able to spend time with their family and do what they need to do with their family. They don't realize that sacrifice that you have to do initially to get to that point.
One thing I'll say about that before we continue, financial and time freedom are the two major goals of entrepreneurship. Don't forget that. Too many people focus on the financial goal. I need to be a millionaire. I need to make $100,000 this year. I need to do this. What's the cost of doing that? Not the monetary cost. What's the time cost? Because remember, you are not trying to create a job. You're trying to create a business that will function as a system without you in it. If you do that, you have created financial and time freedom. Financial and time freedom. You want to create time freedom because you don't want to be locked into a cubicle, right? That's the idea. But what happens if you're just locked into your desk as an entrepreneur? Have you done anything? Have you accomplished anything? No. You are trying to create financial and time freedom. Don't forget that.
Absolutely. Well, I want to thank you for your time. We're not wrapping up yet. I do have a question that I'd like to ask you that we ask all of our guests, and that's if you could talk to one person from history, who would it be and why?
Man, these questions are awesome. Oh, man. Okay. This one's tough for me because I have I'm a very passionate person, as you can tell. So I have some very passionate belief systems. Like sports is one of my biggest hobbies in the world. So I'm going to go one with sports from the sports world and one from the psychology realm, which is where I came from. So I would say from the sports world, if I really have to think about it, I would go with Alonzo Mourning. Now, Alonzo Mourning was the center for the Miami Heat, probably my second favorite team, Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, big fan. Growing up as a kid, Alonzo Mourning was a hero, massive hero to me, sports hero. I was very, very passionate about basketball and about Alonzo Mourning growing up. And why did I choose Alonzo Mourning specifically? It's not because he was amazing on the basketball court, which he was, a Hall of Fame player. His jersey is retired, but it's not that. It's actually his perseverance. His perseverance is really what is so inspiring to me. Alonzo Mourning had kidney failure at the height of his NBA basketball career. He had to quit basketball, I think for like 2 or 3 years. He had to have a kidney replacement that he rehabbed all his way back to come back to the NBA. And it wasn't a comeback story where it was a sob story. Oh, he made it back and that was the win enough. That wasn't it. He came back at an elite level, and he refused to come back at any other time, not to play subpar basketball, but at an elite level. And to see someone who had everything in the world given to them, the opportunity to be an athlete, the opportunity to be on the highest stage, the opportunity to play for an amazing team in the Miami Heat, and then all of it stripped away for an unfair reason where his kidney failed him, for him to battle back. That perseverance really, really resonated with me as a young kid. So if I could speak to anyone and talk to Alonzo Mourning about his perseverance so I could learn just the smallest little piece of that, I think that would really resonate with me. I resonate very powerfully with sports stories and the battle, the psychological battle that it takes to become an elite athlete, because it's a very, very difficult job, especially so going through such a trying time like that. In terms of who else, like an intellectual, either from the psychology realm or business realm, very, very hard question. One person that I would say off the top of my head is Tim Ferriss. He's not really in the psych realm, but man, that guy, I love him. He's really fantastic. He's helped me a lot with my, mental capacity and kind of finding myself and optimizing my life, which has been huge for me. I would love to speak to him, but I think from psychology, which is really where everything came from, I would probably want to speak to Abraham Maslow, and that's the Maslow hierarchy of needs. Figuring that out, it was like the keys to the kingdom of understanding human beings and human psychology. Growing up and realizing and thinking about metacognition. If you guys don't know what that is, it's thinking about thinking, the ability to realize that we're conscious beings. It's a really weird thing when you first realize it, right? Like as a kid, you're focused on all these like external things that don't matter. And as adults, you're focused on all the things that are blocking you from thinking about thinking, which is like, if you ever just close your eyes and think, isn't it incredible that I could be thinking about like 5 things at once while chewing gum and also remembering that I have a date later on today and a goal that I need to set forth? Your mind's capacity is very, very powerful. And Abraham Maslow kind of broke it down in this hierarchy of needs. I strongly recommend you guys check it out. And it's just incredible. It's just incredible to really find out, wow, someone really broke down the human psyche so well. That's helped me in a huge facet moving forward with my marketing. I would love to speak to someone like him, Carl Jung, Sigmund Freud, these type of people that really dove deep into the human psychology and really to try to understand human beings as a whole, because I think we're an incredible species. And that's probably where I would want to go. So I would go with Alonzo Mourning, Tim Ferriss, and probably Abraham Maslow.
Awesome.
Probably 25 other people I can name, but those three I would go with.
Perfect. So for those of you who are interested in learning more about Alex and his prospecting on demand, head over to the Remove Before Flight show page and you'll find links to all of Alex's information. Thank you, Alex, so much for being a part of our show. You've brought some great value to our audience. We appreciate you sharing it with us. Before we let you go, is there anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, absolutely. Kevin, thanks a lot for having me, guys. It's been awesome. I hope you guys really enjoyed this. The thing that I want to say, I think to close here is something that I find to be very important. Live in the now, please. And I mean that. I really do mean that. Live in the now. When we're entrepreneurs, the journey kind of gets blocked by us. We kind of forget about like There's no race here. You're not competing with anyone else. You're not racing to a finish line. You're trying to set goals and achieve them, but you also have to remember that this grind, this journey, this passion that you have to achieve something, it's powerful. It's very, very powerful, but you can't misguide yourself and just try to get to fast forward a place, because then you get there 2 years later and you totally forgot what all the last 2 years were. Enjoy every single day that you are granted here. And especially so the people listening on this podcast know that much more than I ever could. Much more than I ever could. So maybe what I'm saying doesn't really resonate, but I'm sure you can remember the thought process of just being happy to be able to sit down with your wife or your kid or be able to eat a great meal. These things are important. They are really, really important. The spice of life is certainly variety and being adventurous, but also don't forget how great it is just to be able to smell ginger, to smell coffee, to have running water, to be able to go into a shower. These things are important. These things are important. People in war-torn countries in our world, across the United States even, don't have clean water. They don't have the resources that we do. They don't have the family structure that we do. They're not provided with the privileges that we are. Don't focus on woe is me, even at the worst spots in your life. Focus on what's good. If you focus and keep your perspective on your entrepreneurial dream and on your entrepreneurial journey of being happy with your life and satisfied with your life, you're going to be happy in the long run. And the final thing I'll say is, don't let anyone else dictate what success means to you. Success does not only mean that you have a lot of money in your pocket. Success does not only mean that you have achieved great things. There's a lot of things to determine success, and I'll leave you with this story, and that will be it. When I was 10 years old, my family was not wealthy by any means. It's not that we were not that I wasn't grateful, that my parents didn't do every single thing they could to give me everything I wanted in the world. I had an amazing childhood, but still, my friends who had doctors or lawyers as parents, clearly more wealthy than my family was, with the 2-story houses and the cars and this and that and the other. I remember asking my dad one time, I said, "Hey Dad, why are these people, more successful than you are?" And he looked at me in a kind of odd way, and he thought about it for a second, and he said, "Look, Alex, the truth is, what you're determining success is not how I determine success. I don't determine success by what's in my bank account. I determine my success based on I have 3 beautiful children that love me. I have a wife that cares for me. I have a group of friends that I can count on. I have a job that is secure. I have things in my life that other people don't ever have the opportunity to have. And that makes me successful more than anything in the world." And that really, really, really struck a chord with me, maybe just at 10 years old. And I really understand from then on how important it is just to be happy with where you're at that moment, how important it is to determine your own success. I determine my success not based on my wallet, not based on my bank account. And I'm not sitting here and pretending to you that I don't ever get anxiety about money. Of course we do, obviously, but that's not the point. When I do get that anxiety and I turn around and my beautiful wife is staring at me and we're looking at each other and we embrace, I'm successful. I'm successful. I've done something that means something. That's important to me. That's important, I hope, to you guys. So whatever you do after listening to this podcast, whether you join Prospecting on Demand or not, whether you get off here and think this was completely rubbish, at the very least, get up, hug your wife, hug your son, hug your daughter, be happy with where you're at right now, and then allow yourself to determine success, guys. Thanks so much for listening to this. Thank you for giving me this opportunity, Kevin. I wish you all nothing but great success in your life. I hope we can all meet sometime soon. And if you want to join Prospecting on Demand family, we will be honored to have you. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alex. Well, there you have it. You just got to hear the insight of a fellow serial entrepreneur and business coach. We would love to hear your feedback. Head over to changeyourpov.com, where not only can you leave us a review, but you can also find the latest episode of Remove Before Flight, as well as several other great programs. While you're there, be sure to become a supporter via Patreon. Your donation helps keep Change Your POV bringing you valuable programs, helping you become as successful out of uniform as you were in. Wow, that was such a great interview with Alex and full of so much value. I do not want to make this episode too long and appreciate the time you have spent listening to Remove Before Flight this week. In respect of your time, I will keep our marketing tip this week simple and short. Use goals. You just heard Alex and I talk about the importance of goal setting. Smart goals. What are smart goals? Specific. Your goals should be clear and specific. Measurable. Track your progress and stay motivated. Achievable. Realistic and attainable. Relevant. Make your goals matter. Time-bound. Every goal needs to have a target date. Notice something there? Remember from the military days, all those acronyms? Guess what SMART spells out? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. SMART goals can be applied to everything you do, even when it comes to your marketing. If you need help in defining your SMART goals, head over to pinktietech.com and book a discovery session with me. All right, everybody, it's time to wrap up this show and get out of here. Life is short. Don't just dream, do. We will see you next week on Remove Before Flight. Thank you for listening.